everybody. Welcome to the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. We are going to talk a little bit about the Moon Knight 1/6 scale Hot Toys figure that just got released. Now, I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed, but also pretty stoked. And there's a couple things that I've got in my hopeful basket that I hope come to fruition. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the figure himself. When I got into Hot Toys, I wanted Hot Toys to be a really realistic version of what I was seeing on the screen. The Moon Knight that you're seeing here is awesome. It's a 1/6 scale version of Moon Knight. How fucking cool does it get? But when I saw these preview images, I did have a couple concerns. I think the figure looks really good. I really like the way that the robes hug, even under the arms. At first, I thought they were arms on a ball joint. I don't think that's actually the case. When you see some of the zoomed in images under the arms, you see that it's material. Now that breastplate that he has there on the front, I mean, in the show, and again, not to try and give too many spoilers away, but that's a part of, a pinnacle part of his outfit in terms of the moons that are on the front. I'm really hoping that Hot Toys, by the time they get to their final release version, may have a way that those moons can detach or something along those lines. But again, not the end of the world if it doesn't. I just think it would be really cool. Now, I do have concerns about the eyes on this figure. You all know, if you collect Hot Toys, that the batteries on these suckers sometimes are shit. Yeah, that's about the best way to put it. And I've been told that sometimes these batteries leak into the figure and actually destroy the figure. And so on my, for example, Mark 7 figure that I have, he's a pretty badass figure. I'm not going to lie. I can't imagine having a figure get damaged because of batteries. I would be mortified. I don't even know what I would do if I left it in there and it leaked to the point where it actually destroyed the head sculpt, destroyed the battery receptors, kind of all of the above. My Iron Man is the first figure I ever received. My Iron Man Mark 7 diecast by Hot Toys is the first figure I ever had that had light up function eyes. And I think it's interesting for me as a Hot Toys collector and as a 1/6 scale figure collector, because it's not just Hot Toys that I collect, that I would have to choose to leave my figure in a lit off position because I'm afraid of either damage or honestly just because the batteries suck so bad that they last like 7 minutes worth of pictures and then that's all you get. And then what do? Go to the store and buy more batteries? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So what ends up happening, at least in my collection, and I know in a lot of other people's collections, is that these figures sit on the shelf looking lifeless. Now, there have been some really good examples of figures out there that have painted eyes. And when I say painted eyes, I mean things like Deadpool. Think of all the expressions that Deadpool has, and he's got the white painted eyes. Deadpool is at an advantage because he's got, black eyes around or I should say black eye sockets around the white portions. He also has a red body. Moon Knight is at a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to painted eyes, and I can see this only because the figure himself is pretty white. Like, he's got a white cowl, he's got a white cape, white garbs. I mean, he's a pretty white character in terms of his coloration of his outfit. And so I think the white eyes, if they were painted, might blend in. Maybe that's why they did the illuminated eyes for this figure. But what I'm worried about is more of the lifeless look in my collection. My Iron Man Mark 7 looks like he's turned off. Like, it looks like nobody's home, nobody's in the suit. This is what he looks like off. I mean, he literally is Iron Man turned off. He's a suit of armor. Really fucking cool. Turned off. And, I mean, at the end of the day, that's okay. I still think he's awesome. And I think that people who have Iron Man collections that don't have lit up figures, it's still cool. Think of the Hulkbuster. Think of any of the Iron Man suits. Think of War Machine Punisher. Think of Iron Patriot. There are so many figures that Hot Toys have released that have the capability of having a lit head sculpt, like those, machine figures. Think of K2SO. Think of the Jawas. Think of Batman's sonar eye suit. I mean, Star-Lord's masked head sculpt. There are so many figures that have the ability to have lit eyes. But when they're in the display, do they look dead? Again, do they look lifeless? Kind of. Kind of. And so with Moon Knight, when I saw the show and I saw that there was a potential, at least, for white, vibrant paint maybe in the eyes that would still look illuminated, similar to Deadpool, similar to Spider-Man, similar to even, geez, my Hot Toys Shadow Trooper. I mean, he's a completely black figure, but he's got essentially silvery white eye shades. But it makes him look not lifeless. And so, what do you guys think when it comes to lit head sculpts? Are you feeling disappointed that the Moon Knight figure is coming with a lit head sculpt? Are you going to even bother putting the batteries in it? If you do, is it really just for photos and then you take it out again? Or let's get to the next part of this video, which for me is hopes and dreams of the future. Now, I've seen collectors out there who are able to essentially do mods on their figures. So there are some modded Iron Men that I've seen. I think Justin's Collection has a really good video on one of his modded figures. When I say modded, it means that essentially the figure, at least in Justin's video that I saw, you can tap the Iron Man chest and the lights turn on. Definitely worth a watch. Check that out if you get a chance. But it's really cool. That to me feels like the future of technology. That to me is something that I want to see some of the competitive studios looking at doing, right? I think Queen Studios that's upcoming, they have a sharp pencil. They're going to test Hot Toys. They're going to, make a run for their money at least. And I think they can do that in a couple of different ways. I think the head sculpts that they're coming out with, some of the artistry is obviously, it's amazing. But we've only seen prototypes. Some of their statues are amazing. They have a history with statues. So I feel confident that that what we're seeing in terms of the prototypes for their 1/6 scale line is going to be a pretty excellent quality. At least I hope so. But even things like what Queen Studios is doing with putting certain magnets in their bases, like something like John talked about the other night on Collecting Weekly. Again, great show to watch, After Dark Collecting Weekly. John was saying in that video that, I should say John from Queen Studios, was saying in that video that they're planning on having bases that are magnetized, so that something like the Joker, or a figure like the Joker, can be positioned in different spots on their base. I think that's really cool. Will we get to a point with lit eye figures, or lit figures in general, maybe Iron Men's that have those arc reactor chests, or the Electro figure that's coming out? I mean, the Electro in the promo images, he looks bright as hell. It's really cool. But we kind of know that, like, when we get it in hand, it's going to be kind of plasticky and probably not as funky as it looks when it has Photoshop or lights that aren't powerful enough to, power the figure. And so with the hopes and dreams that I have for the future of lit figures, just in general, whether they have lit head sculpts, whether they have lit bodies, lit components, lit accessories that look like lightning or cool shit, I hope they do things like get rid of the batteries. Just get rid of them. If they have to be batteries, find a way to make them rechargeable batteries. Find a way, right? Most of my figure stands sit in the box in my mechanical room, okay? If I had those figure bases out because they powered figures, right? If they helped to recharge those figures, I would probably use them a little bit more. If I could bring a figure and plant him on a base and he would recharge, I would think that that was one of the coolest functions of the base just in general. Not only would it create a figure stand and kind of a display option, but also a way to bring your character to life. And isn't that what they're supposed to be for, right? That's why we get the dynamic figure stands. That's why we get those flight pulls. The base is supposed to help you make your figure look more realistic. Why not have a way that that figure base can also either charge rechargeable batteries and or at the very least have the ability to plug in to the wall so that when your Iron Man stands on it, maybe when your Moon Knight stands on it, automatically those lights can come on. And so you can, again, bring your figure to life without having to try and figure out how to get batteries in the back of the guy's head, right? Think about, have you ever had a guest come over who doesn't know much about hot toys? And when they walk in and they're like, wow, that looks really cool. Where'd you get that? Why did that figure inspire you? Why does that movie inspire you? You want to be able to showcase your collection, right? You don't want to have to be fiddling with the guy trying to get a battery in before the guest comes down the stairs so you can show him what a real, Moon Knight looks like in your collection, or what a real Iron Man looks like in your collection, right? I mean, these are supposed to be 1/6 scale versions of that character in the movie. And some may argue that having the lit eyes on Moon Knight is actually more screen accurate. And I would 100% agree with that. Except, I also want a figure that looks screen accurate. And if I can't get them to light, then I need them to try and determine what's the next best option. And I think that is eye paint. I really do. Reflective, high white, high brightness, eye paint. Maybe they can do both. Maybe they can have a bit of a hybrid. I've seen some Secret Base photos now. I believe, and I apologize if I'm wrong, that they're taken by Ryan Kirkwood, who does that for Justin's collection. His photos are amazing. Ryan is a good dude, and he takes crazy good pictures. And I know that if you're watching this video, you probably know who he is. Give him a props, give him a follow, give him a like, because he's awesome. And his pictures are great. And he's recently taken a picture of Moon Knight in Secret Base, and the eyes are just, they look turned off. I was kind of disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. It's not negativity. It's not. When you see these figures as a collector, at least for me, I get really excited. I can't wait to have a representation of something that really connects with you in the collection, in the house. And I think that they've done great hybrid options before. I think that, figures that light up but don't have to light up look really cool. So things like Superman. I've seen some great Kal-El head sculpts where when the lights are turned on, he's got those glowing red eyes for those laser beams that burn you guys alive, right? I mean, that's really cool. But when they're turned off, he just looks like he's angry, and his eyes are bloodshot, and he looks crazy, right? But he still looks animated. You can still tell that he's alive. Thor. I've seen some head sculpts of Thor where same thing. When his eyes are lit up, he's got that electrical look, like he's just out of Infinity War, where he's coming down badass and he's overpowered and he's ready to kick some ass, right? And his eyes are glowing with lightning. It's so cool. But when you see that figure with his head sculpt turned off, he still looks like Thor. You can still see eyes. I mean, he looks good. Again, I think those are some great hybrid options. Maybe with Moon Knight, they can give us a bit of a hybrid option by the time it comes out. Maybe they can still give it a pretty high gloss white paint behind the light. Now, I recognize that if you paint it, the light is probably going to have a hard time coming through, even if it's white. And even if it's white, it might not glow very white, depending on the bulb choice they use in the eyes. It just might not look right. And I might feel raw about that too, right? I might say, it doesn't look good, and keep it off. But again, if I kept it off and it still has a bit of that white paint, maybe it'll look pretty good. So what do you guys think? Are you going to pick up the Moon Knight figure? Are you hoping that there's going to be some other Moon Knight options that come? If you haven't seen the second episode, I 100% recommend it. Great episode. Had some ups, had some downs, had some new character development. Don't want to give anything away, but I'm definitely hoping for some new suit action and new, maybe head sculpts out of those options as well. So, are you guys going to pick the figure up? If you are, did you pre-order it? Are you going to wait for more in-hand videos and pictures? For me, myself, I typically wait until I see at least in-hand pictures. Even Secret Base photos don't get me to pre-order. I just don't really pre-order anymore. I think it's beneficial to wait. And I think with somebody like Moon Knight, or the character of Moon Knight, I think that there's going to be quite a few figure options that come out from this line. I think it's going to end up being a pretty popular show. And knowing Disney, knowing Hot Toys, they're going to capitalize on that, right? And so they may even have something like how we've seen with The Mandalorian, where, you know, every season the Moon Knight outfit changes slightly, adds some upgrades, maybe even changes its color scheme. Like, there's going to be lots that comes down the pipeline. I would hate to see everybody jump on this first figure and then get venomed when, you know, talking about something like the Venom that came out initially and then Venom with the Eddie Brock head sculpt. For me, that was a piss off. And so, you know, as we know, the figure that's releasing, the Moon Knight, he doesn't come with a 1/6 scale head of Oscar Isaac, which is a disappointment because Oscar Isaac is a Hot Toys collector. Of all the people that I collect who are 1/6 scale representations of their real life selves, I really hope for that guy that he gets a figure at some point. But I would also hate to see it, as I said, collectors buy this figure right away, you know, day one pre-order, and then they get venomed. You know, then Moon Knight comes out with an Oscar Isaac head sculpt and a slightly different emblem on his chest, or who knows, right? And so be mindful of that. But are you guys picking the figure up? If so, are you pre-ordering it? Where are you getting it from? Always curious about that because I live in Canada, and so I feel like my options are limited when it comes to it. You know, I have a couple of those big options, but then you either go overseas or whatever. But at the end of the day, guys, I mean, that's my take on it. You know, everybody has their different feelings. I think that we need to definitely get back to the collecting times where people just got excited about the figures, and you can be a little disappointed without being negative. I'm still super excited for this figure, and honestly, I'll still probably get him. And I think people won't be disappointed. I really, really don't. But let's not be negative about it either. There's no place for that, right? And so positive feedback can still help. If we get enough voices out there that say they want something with a figure, Hot Toys does seem like they're starting to pay attention. And maybe that's because of the competition in the market. Or maybe they've just hired somebody new who's focused on getting their name looking a little bit better with collectors who spend so much of their time, so much of their money on these figures, right? And love the company, love the figures, love the toys. They're amazing. I plan to get this guy at some point, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Do you think that we're going to get other options with this figure line? If so, you know, try to be non-spoilery as you can, but leave a comment. Who do you think is going to get released next? And could it be a 2-pack? Maybe. But again, at the end of the day, that's my take on this figure. I'm excited about the future of figure collecting. I hope that Queen Studios and some of these other companies out there really start to up their technology game as well as their head sculpt game, right? Really push the competition in the direction of new and innovative things. And if they do that, I think new collectors and old collectors will continue to buy the products and continue to love it. I'll occasionally have a new segment like this every once in a while where I just get on here and shoot the shit with you guys, talk at the camera, look at some screen slides, and just have some fun. I hope you're liking all the videos. I just recently hit 50 subscribers, so thanks to everybody that's supporting the channel so far. I've had a great time talking to y'all, talking about figures, looking at toys, playing with the lights, doing all the good stuff. You guys are awesome. I'm going to be talking a little bit more with Marco on 1/6 Fix this Saturday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or that's 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time for any friends here in town. So definitely take a look at that channel on that morning, guys. I'll be looking for you in the chats. Make sure you say hi. Again, that's 1/6 Fix with Marco on Saturday morning, and then on Tuesday next week, I'll be on the main show with the guys over at Collecting Weekly. They're awesome guys. Love chatting with them, and always really, really good discussion. So definitely make sure you tune in for the show on Tuesday night at Collecting Weekly as well. But again, thanks for coming by the Ben Thomas Show. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button, and I will catch you on the next video. This has been the Thomas Take.